So are you working today?
Yes, sir, I am. I do a little bit of care coordination, care management for my official day job, and in order to get healthcare, I
Okay.
moved to California about it's gonna be 3 years now, but it really feels like less because of the pandemic. This is my puppy, California, thus with my obsession with the
Rrr.
state. He is. He's just like California, very feisty.
So,
That's your legit
okay.
card.
So let me start with you were born and raised in Puerto Rico,
Yes.
correct?
Arecibo, that's the northern
Okay.
west part of the island.
Now, in the Philippines, they do all the schooling in English. Is that the way it is in
Mm.
Puerto Rico?
No,
No.
I
Okay.
do know that some private schools do their curriculum in full English just in preparation for because most of my peers we grew up with like this mindset of you have to study in the US in order to get better opportunities. So that's really what I find a lot of my peers have grown up with. Um,
Mm, okay.
I come from the public school system, so I'm humble. I come from humble beginnings, and my education was fully in Spanish. I have very
Okay.
good English because my mother was actually born and raised in Guilford, Connecticut. So
Oh, okay.
she actually moved to Puerto Rico when she was about 15, met my dad, and thus the family happened. So, yeah, that's kind of how that language goes by.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's start with you were in Puerto Rico till what age?
I think I was about 22. I
Really?
left Puerto Rico in January of 2017. That was
Okay.
right after I graduated. I did try to find jobs in the island for about six
Mm,
months, but then the bill started calling
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
had to leave.
You have to go where the money is. That's true.
Yeah.
But as far as you're learning English and then being able to land in this country and get a job where it's mostly English, you know. Of course, there's high value in being bilingual,
Yes.
and especially if you're in California, that's a big plus on your resume. But you said your mom was from Connecticut, and did she always use English in the home? Is that how you? Yeah, pretty
Oh,
much.
for
Okay.
sure. Because remember, my education was in Spanish in
Mm-hmm.
school, and I did have English teachers, but I think that the level or the quality of my English academic experience got better when I went into high school and then
Mm.
afterwards in college because my primary teachers weren't. Sometimes I would correct them just because my mother is native and she knows the native slangs and the language and how to, formulate paragraphs and use the right order in words. So that was interesting growing up. But my mom made it a rule to actually make all of our entertainment in English. So everything that we
Oh.
consumed, both my sister and I, was in English. Our books, we would have trips to Borders, which was the bookstore in San
Mm-hmm.
Juan. And she would buy us a book, but it had to be in English. She would also pay for cable television, but she
Oh.
made sure that all the channels were in English.
Wow. And your dad didn't have a problem with that.
No, because then he would speak to us in Spanish and that would
Okay.
help us build the muscle memory. And,
Mm-hmm.
he understood the value of raising two fully bilingual daughters. So he was all for it.
Well, that's great.
Yes.
So now you are presently in California and you work in the medical field, is that right?
Yes, sir. I
So
work
that's
for.
a whole nother language skill itself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you had
I
to
have
learn that.
stories.
So how did you learn to do that?
I well, I really began submerging my career in the healthcare industry ever since I started working at the age of 16
Hmm.
because I actually didn't attend a normal high school, I attended a vocational high school. So besides taking my normal, GED curriculums, I would also take a separate workshop. And I chose medical office assistant. That
Hmm.
actually gave me the opportunity to travel to California for the first time because I am always out there. I like to seek opportunities. That's how my parents raised me. And I
Hmm.
became a member at HOSA, Health Organization Students of America. I became a member in the Puerto Rican chapter, and I actually competed in Puerto Rico. I
Hmm.
won
Wow.
spontaneous writing competition, and they flew me to Anaheim, California in 2014. I didn't win there, but I got to visit California, and I had this awakening moment of this is where I'm meant to be, and this is where I'm gonna really pivot and grow.
Hmm.
And lo and behold, here I am.
Wow. That's amazing. So currently, what's your day like? I saw a little video on your site. Is it still like that?
Pronouns Joharys, but please feel free to call me Jojo and please address me with pronouns she, her. Soy nacida y criada en Arecibo, Puerto Rico, and I moved to California in November of 2019. I enjoy coffee, the great outdoors, and learning about the history and politics around the world. I have been working in the healthcare field particularly since I was 16 years old, and I hope to develop my digital marketing skills, become a public speaker, and help female entrepreneurs navigate Web3. A day in the life for me, it's really interesting because I'm really trying to implement healthy structures for my life and to implement healthy habits. I recently am recovering from a very, very dark phase of my personal career where I experienced an instance of quiet firing from
Mm-hmm.
a C-level boss. I really thought I was going to thrive in that biotech world of C-suite, and I got really enveloped in um, really being in that world. And when it all kind of came down crumbling, I was really lost and confused and dazed and really sad. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So, my mom was actually in that time getting her Akashic Record practitioner certification. And I didn't understand at all what she was getting into. I was going through my own feelings, so I just didn't listen at first. But then she really saw that my mental health was declining, so she actually took a flight to California.
Mm. That's
And
good.
she had like a little intervention moment with me, and she
Hmm.
explained to me what she's doing, and it's basically a guided meditation practice. And
Mm.
she really invokes the help and the guidance of our ancestors, and she really touched me and touched a very deep fiber in my soul. And it's really helped me to kind of get out of that really negative mind space
Mm.
and really look forward to the future because I'm young. I'm 27 and I have
Right.
to look forward to the future.
Oh, yeah. So you were able to find them this job after that.
Yes, after that
Yeah.
awakening litter intervention moment with my mom, I did land this job. I'm very much more at peace because I get to work from home and I get to really take care of myself. So I am very diligent of waking up super early at
Hmm.
5:30, which is super early for any millennial.
That's early for me, and I'm not millennial. That's just
Well, I'm really trying to like embody the mindset of early bird gets the worm.
hmm. Hmm.
So I get up early. I'm drinking a 1 cup of green tea every morning before I eat anything because health is the new wealth.
Hmm.
And it's really impacted me a lot. I'm even reading about green tea research articles because I feel so much better, and I know that that has a lot to do with it.
Hmm.
Another thing that I also do in the mornings is I try to knock off my 10 pages a day because that's a personal goal. That really helps me keep a good English performance
Hmm.
when I practice communication with others. So I do all of that in the morning. That's why I get up so early.
Hmm.
And then I do have my puppy, so I have to do my doggy errands. And then I just start work. I
Hmm.
basically log in, take care of my tasks. Afterwards, I take lunch because I'm from home, so I can, make me a salad or a wrap. And then I also like to be mindful during my lunch hour of content creation, because I am really getting into posting my writings on LinkedIn. I was really shy to do so at first because English is my second
Hmm.
language. Sometimes I say
Sure.
things that don't really translate right
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
Spanish to English.
Right. No, you're right.
So
Yeah.
I've had to really work on my self confidence, and also with my mom's guided meditation practice, we still do it. So it's really helped me flourish and continue to push myself.
Mm.
So during lunchtime, I also like to think a little bit and draft a couple of ideas that I might have for the following day. Um, and then, I get back to work, and later in my evening hours, I, of course, take care of my dog, maybe do some housekeeping errands. And I do like to go out for a walk every day. Um, I didn't mention this before, but I did try to live in the East Coast
Mm.
for the first, I think, 2 years that I lived in the States, but it was just brutal. The snow. I couldn't do it. I really couldn't. So I really take full advantage of living here in California and having nice
Mm.
weather every day. So I try to go out as much as I can. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. You and I could both fill several volumes on being in workplaces that are really toxic. And I had a series of, for the most part, I have been in the boardroom my entire career. And when you're at that level, everything is politics. When you said C-suite, I'm like, oh my goodness, she got at a young age hit with the full political weight of those exchanges. And if you don't know how to navigate that, they will eat you alive because there's rules of warfare as to how that political thing works. And now that we're in a political season, you see it on TV all the time. But when it's you personally involved with it in a boardroom setting with other members, that the only thing they're out for is themselves.
yeah.
And if you're a person that has been raised in a family that's loving and caring, and you've been told to take care of other people, and that is your ethic, and all of a sudden you're in this environment that's kill or be killed, it can wreak havoc on your ability to think like a sane person. I mean, all of a sudden you just withdraw.
Yeah.
You just withdraw and you quit interacting. And kudos to your mom that came to your rescue and helped drum you out of that. One of the things that I always try to help people with is, especially if they've been through a toxic workplace and they're trying to get out of, the hurt that has caused. One of the things I try to get them to do is land on who they are as a person. And you have to find yourself and believe in yourself. And if you do that, then you can move forward. If you don't have the ability to, I'll use an American phrase, bet on you.
Yeah.
If you don't have that ability, you're not going to get anywhere. You just have to really believe in yourself and believe you can accomplish. And if you're lying to yourself, get it straightened out and figure out what you need to do to believe in yourself. If it's more training, just some education, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that's, I'm glad you were able to do that. I'm glad your mom came to your rescue, and I'm glad you found a job
Yes.
where you're now able to feel like you are making a difference. Tell me, now this is something that interests me too, this digital divide. And what is going on in Puerto Rico? And
Yes.
Yeah, these other places where,
I'm
they
so
don't
glad
have.
you asked.
Well, you said you had cable, but that doesn't mean you have internet, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I again was very blessed and fortunate to have very fighting and driven parents because they worked extra hard to make it a mission to always provide internet service for us. It
Oh, they did.
Yes, but it was
Okay.
very crappy
Okay.
internet service, if I may say
Oh,
so.
good.
At first, it was dial-up internet, which is the little
Right.
the
Yeah.
sound that people think that because I'm 27, I don't know how that sounds like, but I actually do.
Yeah. Well, and it's very slow.
Very. And then when a call came
Yeah.
through, it would drop because it was through the
Hmm.
landline.
Right.
But then after Hurricane Maria in September of 2017, there is no such thing as a landline. They don't have telephone service. So
Hmm.
they were actually not able to communicate for about 9 months.
Hmm.
Because we actually live in a very, very rural area in Arecibo where there's no cell service. Um,
Hmm.
I have this theory that it's also because we live nearby a correctional facility, so they wouldn't want, inmates to have cell service, but there's so many residents living there, and just for safety purposes, I still don't understand why there's cell service everywhere but where I live. So, anyway, fast
Oh,
forward a
interesting.
couple of months. I'm sorry?
No, interesting is what I said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but my mom, again, she always makes it a point to stay informed. So she had heard about the Starlink satellite and how when Elon Musk
Hmm.
managed to succeed his mission to launch a rocket to space, he would then launch his satellites and would be able to provide broadband satellite mobile service to remote areas. So my mom
Hmm.
subscribed about $500 later because it's not
Hmm.
free. That's the other thing.
No, but yeah, what is it? I mean, yeah,
It
but you said, is that a 500 registration and then monthly, or is that?
Correct. So she
Okay.
registered, and then you have like your monthly bill, which I believe it's about almost $100, which is
Wow.
fairly reasonable in comparison to what she used to pay before, which I think it was satellite internet service with a
Hmm.
different company, and it wasn't all that good, and it was like 200, almost $300 a month.
Hmm.
So the Starlink satellite, it's a mobile satellite that you can really pick up. I actually posted a picture of it today. Um,
Yeah, I saw that.
yes,
I saw that.
and it's great because when hurricane season comes, my dad just picks it up and puts it inside.
Now you can't use it inside; it has to be outside, right?
Correct, because it has
Yeah.
to, it does it everything on its own. You just press the button and it reroutes for the location. And then you
Hmm.
look on the app that you're connected, and that's it. And that's how my mom's able to work from home as well.
Huh. And is it pretty fast? Is
Yes,
it good?
we are able to
Okay.
FaceTime now, which is, I cried the
Uh,
first time because after Maria, our communication was significantly perished. Again, they didn't have a landline, so they would have to drive about an
mhm.
hour, 45 minutes to an hour to the city to get like strong internet service to be able to see our faces, or drive about 30 minutes to just get a strong enough signal to send us a text message. So that's
Mm,
really poor communication between
yeah.
your kids and your parents.
Did that knock out all of your cell service too?
During the very beginning months, yes,
Hmm.
we had spotty service. They had spotty
Hmm.
service, and the quality of the call, it was very muffled for the first couple of months. Maria
Hmm.
was very brutal. It
Hmm.
wasn't easy at all by any means. I want to highlight that for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that was a tough storm.
Yeah.
That was a tough
I would
storm. I
say
remember
not
when it.
necessarily the storm itself, it's more the aftermath because the
Right.
recovery was so slow, and my parents really felt abandoned. They really had to dig themselves out, quite literally. Like my
Hmm.
dad had to grab a machete and cut his way out in order to drive him and my mom to get cell service.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. So how long are things somewhat getting back to normal now? Yeah,
What
or
is
is
normal?
yeah, well, yeah. What is normal? Is that a beachside community or is that further back inland?
Further back inland where I'm from
Okay.
originally, but we do have a beach in my well, it's not a state, it's my pueblo, my
Mm-hmm.
hometown.
Yeah, Pueblo. Yeah.
There's a separate but conjoined issue in my neighborhood of abandoned animals. Because we
Mm.
live in a very rural area, um, a lot of people from the city will drive over to where we live and they will just abandon their dogs once they get older or whatever it may be.
Wow.
And yeah, so this has happened ever since I have consciousness of mind. So I'm 27 years old. Um,
Mm.
I actually grew up with a love of healthcare too because I would rescue these dogs and I would inject them and, give them their shots and deworm them and bathe them. And I actually started posting pictures on our local newsletters so that people would come and like adopt them for free. Um,
Mm.
so my involvement is more hands on, I guess,
Mm.
when it comes to issues in the island just because I am a local. I know people there and I know that I can bring the tools if I find the resources to get the people the help that they need. Particularly after Fiona, I actually started a little mini campaign and I sent my mom. I have the Cash App app, so I don't know if you know, but you can actually request a physical card. I'm praying that it works over there, but I actually sent her my
Mm-hmm.
little Cash App card and I just told my friends if you want to donate, just donate to this link. And that really streamlines the process. And it also
Mm-hmm.
encourages people in the Web3 space if they want to donate their crypto, they can do
Right.
so too.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes, thinking ahead, thinking about the future.
So let's just finish this up by saying top three goals that you may have for this year or future years. Do you have a top three that you're thinking about?
I always like to set goals for myself, especially now that I'm in this
Mm.
healing journey. It's great practice to do every day. I think before the year ends, I would for sure like to continue to stabilize my finances. I guess that's more of a personal goal of mine. But I would like to somehow continue to build out that fund for my parents to continue to provide help for abandoned dogs in Puerto Rico. I'm
Mm.
$100 in so far, so I'm getting pretty much ahead. I think that
Wow.
before the year ends, if I make it to $500, that's a completely possible goal. Um, and then I also think that before the year ends, I would like to get back to blogging. I used to have a blog when I was a flight attendant because I traveled all over.
Mm-hmm.
But again, life happened and I got shy and I stopped writing. And now that I'm back into it, I want to revive that. So before the year ends, that's a project that I have to launch for myself. And then the third one, I think it's more of a long term one, but I'm thinking long term more towards the middle of next year. I really, really want to have my father visit me here in California because I want to take him out on a Harley Davidson bike trip to
Mm.
Arizona or Las Vegas or somewhere.
Do you have a Harley?
I do not, but
Oh.
my dad has had a Harley Davidson every year throughout my life. That's his
Mm.
life, and it's very dear and close to my heart because he actually sold his most dearest when I was born because they thought that I was going to be born with spina bifida. So in preparation
Mm.
for my birth, he did that, and I always have it as an additional long-term goal to give that back to him, and I'm gonna buy him a bike soon in the near future. Maybe not next year,
Mm.
but it'll happen.
Well, you have your whole life ahead
Yes.
of you, and you're going to be doing some great things, I'm sure. Um, you have a big heart, and your parents raised you well, and they're taking care of you well. And, all the best for
Thank you.
you. And continue your healing journey.